On your computer, the actual speaker sound as well.
Yep.
No, this should pick you up. Okay. Yeah. All right, Stephen, go ahead. Oh. Is it okay?
And worse.
All right, now we're ready, Stephen. Thank you. All right, Sarah, can you hear us? All right, great. I will call the meeting to order at 7:01 p.m. We are streaming live on YouTube as well as with MHTV this evening. Any commendations tonight? Go ahead, Sarah.
Hi, so I'm gonna give us a little preview for something that's coming on our agenda. I wanted to give an accommodation to Jean Scona, who will be presenting later. I think she's wrapped up her work in the district for this year. And I know that the staff surveys came back extremely complimentary. They noted the impact. I've seen the impact firsthand on some of our students of the mindfulness teaching that she has done. And I just wanted to commend her for her work, for designing that curriculum, for training the teachers as she has, and for what she's brought to our students.
Sarah? Sorry, go ahead.
I just want to commend everyone who was involved in the cultural feast. It happened right after our last meeting. It was an amazing event. All the students were involved did a wonderful job. Lindsay Page, advisor, a wonderful, wonderful event.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's a lot of fun. And I will commend the both boys and girls track team. They competed, some of them competed in states this past weekend. And I believe that there was, and I meant to look up the names, but maybe Yatsen, you'll help me out here. There's one boy who's probably going to all states and then possibly another set of girls. Great, great. So yeah, congratulations to all of them. Very strong. And all of the kids who participated did really well. Anybody else? All right. With that, I'll dish to you.
Thank you. So yes, May 20th was the cultural feast. A lot of people showed up. It was really great to see all those people. And again, thanks to Miss Page and the students who organized. It was a great event. May 21st was the annual Music in the Parks trip. All three ensembles won awards, so congratulations to them. May 23rd was the spring concert at MVMS and also the art showcase at Abbott Library. And to say thank you to everyone who came, and it was a great night. May 24th was the National French Honor Society inductions. May 25th was the National Latin Honor Society inductions, and May 26th was the National Honor Society induction. So a bunch of those. May 26th was the Day of Silence at MHS, a day to recognize the bullying and harassment that LGBTQ people face, especially in school. May 27th was the last day for seniors, as well as senior project presentations. I want to give a shout out to the seniors. All the projects were super awesome. They worked super hard. Seniors also had prom Tuesday, May 31st at Fenway Park. And even though the Red Sox lost, I heard all great things about prom. So it's great. Yesterday, June 1st, was also scholarship night for seniors. So congratulations to all who earned scholarships. Today, the seniors, they just got back actually. I saw them walking off the bus. They were at Six Flags for their class trip. Tomorrow, June 3rd, is graduation at 6 o'clock. on Piper Field or at the field house, depending on the weather. June 5th is the Pride flag racing ceremony at Abbott Hall, and I know at least one MHS student is speaking and also the a cappella groups. Tuesday, June 7th, will be the underclassmen award ceremony at 6:30 in the MHS Fieldhouse. On Wednesday, June 8th, MHS students Celia Sliney and Alexis Earp, as well as the Marblehead Task Force Against Discrimination, will be running the Juneteenth flag raising ceremony. The ceremony starts at 4:30 and will feature speeches by MBMS and MHS students. On June 7th and June 8th, the freshman class will have biology MCAS and late starts for grades 10 and 11. A cappella auditions are June 8th, and cheerleading tryouts for next year are June 6th through June 9th. The Marblehead Dollars for Scholars are holding their ninth annual run for the Fund 5K race or walk on Saturday, June 11th at 9 a.m. at Devereaux Beach. As Sarah was saying, track had 30 people compete and qualify at states last weekend, and they also had 3 people qualify for All-State. So congratulations to everyone on the track team. And most spring teams are also into the playoffs for sports. The freshman class is holding a t-shirt fundraiser all this week, and the junior class is selling bouquets tomorrow at graduation and distributing summer shirts this week.
So we should be prepared for honking on Monday. Will you be participating in that?
I will not be. I will be as trying to.
Good luck. Yeah, good luck. Thank you, Yasin. It's always great to hear your reports.
Thank you.
All right, that moves us on to public comment. If anyone would like to make a public comment this evening, please use the raise hand function, and I will call on you. And please keep your comments to about 3 minutes in length. And don't forget to state your name and address for the record. I will call on Kaya Frechette.
Hi, my name is Kaya Frechette. I'm sorry, did you say I had to state something for the record?
Your name and your address. You're almost there.
All right, 50 Rockaway Avenue. And so I'm the parent of a preschooler at Glover, and I want to make a public comment regarding the mindfulness program that was implemented this school year, and specifically to strongly encourage the continuation of this important program. So I'm speaking as a parent of a special needs student who participated in that program and was positively impacted. I also have my master's in education and license in mental health counseling, specializing in children and adolescents. Mindfulness is an evidence-based practice demonstrating decreased stress and anxiety, increased interpersonal skills, increased attention, all of which contribute to better learning and performance outcomes. So especially given the youth mental health crisis, youth really need these practices to be integrated into their education. So thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Kaya. I don't see any other hands, so I will move us along to our consent action and agenda items. We've got 2 sets of minutes this evening. The minutes from 4/28 and 5/5. So I will ask for a motion to approve the minutes from 4/28/2022. And actually, does anybody have any? Sorry, I usually ask for any tweaks or pieces that needed a little bit of extra attention. Sarah.
On the minutes from 4/28 under public comment, if we can just reflect that Catherine Martin on West Shore Drive's comment, when it says reference a child of the committee member, she referenced privileged protected information regarding children's disabilities in their IEPs.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Right. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes from 4/28/2022 and 5/5/2022? So Megan moved. Emily second. All right, roll call vote. Sarah Gold, yes. David Harris.
Yes.
Megan Taylor. Emily Barron. Yes. And Sarah Fox.
Yes.
All right. Those passed 5-0. Thank you. John, it's your superintendent's report. We are going to move a little bit out of order. Muffy Paquette is with us for the presentation on the Piper Field Memorial discussion. She would like to get to the cross game. So we're going to bump Muffy up, Muffy and Dan, which is because Muffy provide a lot of services. And so I'm assuming photos and fun are to be had. So welcome, Muffy and Dan.
Thank you for having us here. This is very exciting. Just to give some context in terms of the Beautification Project, it was brought to my attention by Tina Beth Burton about a month ago that the Beautification Project is coming to life, which will include a memorial to James Galante. She described what the project would be. It had some sketches and renderings. Greg Seglarski, our athletic director, was present. And I was just floored by the potential of this project. Muffy came over and met with us as well. Muffy provided a lot of information and background because there is a lot of background to this project. So just to sum it up and just the highlights, this will be an upgrade to the Forever Fan section, which is the area between the entry to Piper Field and the visitors' stands. That hillside area where you'll see a lot of our community residents, as I call them, the old timers, and I say that affectionately. Just a wonderful area. There's already a memorial bench, memorial area. So I think it's awesome that's called the Forever Fan section. To see this upgrade to that area, if you've been out to that area, it's a worn hillside, certainly serves its purposes, but to see what improvements will come in terms of landscaping, upgrading the retaining wall, and just a brick pathway, which would have bricks where people, and Muffy will talk more about that piece of it. And the potential to add outdoor classroom spacing built into the hillside possibly. That's part of the scope of the project. So to me, it's a huge project for the Piper Field area, because if you think about it, and it's not just for athletics, it's really a main entryway to our school for a lot of events. We just had scholarship night last night, and that's a big entry point for a lot of our presenters, our donors, as well as our community. And from the graduation, that's a big area. So the upgrade would not only enhance that area, but I think would just overall enhance our school setting. So I'm very excited about that piece. And the description of the way the memorial for James Galante would be built into it makes perfect sense. And I think it's an awesome way to commemorate James. Also, I have to be remiss, our class officers are on the Zoom call tonight because they're very excited about this project as well. Grace McLean, Annie Sheridan, Aiden New, and Ben Kahn, they're very excited because they would like to be able to turn the class gift into this project. So obviously, we know we have to wait for approval, but they're very excited. So they're on the call tonight to show their support. Greg Seglarski would be here, but he's running the lacrosse game. But Muffy is here to provide a little bit more context. We have some renderings of the upgrades that will be included in the project.
Yeah. So we, like Dan said, we at Boosters have been talking about this for years, and we feel like this is a good time because there are a lot of other people who want to contribute. So the idea is to turn this seating area into something that stands that can be used for the classrooms, but also used for the sport events. It's also coming right in front of us having to redo Piper Field. So it's kind of a nice segue to we'll redo the outside and then we'll redo the inside. So as you enter from the parking lot, here's the parking lot spaces that face the field where lots of people like to watch from their cars. And this right now would be turned into a brick pathway. It's a real dangerous slope at the moment. You could slide right down onto over a wall. So this whole thing will be regraded. It'll be leveled out to build in a brick walkway, which hopefully can say, thank you from the PreKTK family, or thank you from Dan Bauer, or thank you from the Gold family on each brick. What we hope to do is add some theater style, amphitheater type style seating that can be used for outdoor classrooms, as when we're not watching a game or any other type of thing. It will really all depend on the amount of money that we raise. This project is estimated to cost anywhere between $50,000 and $100,000, depending on what we do. Clearly, we're going to get closer to $100,000 if we put in this granite seating. Okay. But we're so excited about it because not only will it clean up this area, but it's going to clean up the area that's right in front of the snack shed as well. So that whole entranceway will have new brick walls and just look a lot nicer. Regraded, resodded, replanted. The trees that are there now on this side will stay. I've just heard that there's one tree over on this side that's already slated to be removed because it's dead or dying. But if there are new trees that need to go in, we'll do that. There are memorials that exist now We don't plan on touching those. We plan on adding to those. Obviously, James is a new one that will be added. There is a bench there for, what did I just tell you? The Dumet, Till, Bob Till. There's a bench there for Bob Till. There will be a bench later, probably for Tim Cronin and others that will come down the road. So how those are designated is still yet to be seen. We don't know exactly how that will play out, but that's the point of this Forever Fans Memorial Park. This gives you a little bit of a better picture of how we'll regrade it. So right now, this grass is all just flat. And it'll be graded up a little bit, and there'll be walls around it, so that it's aesthetically look nicer. On the other side, I already said that this what slopes down will be regraded so that it's straight across, and you can walk across to where the benches are, where the extra seating will be. So we really feel like it's going to improve the overall look of the school. Clearly, people come in the front door, but so many people access the side of the building through the gym doors, or any event that's going on, whether it's a sporting event on Piper Field or it's something that's in the field house. And it really will clean things up because our pretty little red shed looks nice by itself, but everything else to the left of that should be landscaped in a much nicer way. So these drawings give you a little bit better impression too. Again, this is where the shed is over here. There'll be some sort of memorial, some sort of plaque designated for the class of 2022 who wants to donate their class gift to something here. There'll be a memorial plaque stating this is the Forever Fans area. And then, as I said, there'll be other things too, individuals like James Galante, Bob Till, and Alec Kastner, and any of the other ones that already exist or may come out. Does have any questions?
Questions?
Can you leave these drawings or can you go? Can you leave them just so we can have a look at them?
Yes.
And then we'll just leave them in
You
your
can
office.
leave the drawings.
We'll leave them here for now, and then we're going to display them at graduation. Okay. Assuming you give us a
Great. So yeah, so I think just, I don't have any questions per se right now. I will say, and I talked with Dan and Dr. Bucky about this, that we need to do some work on our memorials policy. Dan had reached out to me a couple weeks ago when this was all sort of coming in together and he wanted to present it. And so that was what I said to him at that point. And then I got in contact with our MASC representative, Dorothy Presser, and I did sort of walk her through, and we sort of meandered around the memorials because there are the benches out there and we've passed those, we approved them. So we've needed to look at this one for a while because clearly, and Dorothy completely agreed with me that it's not fitting our district's needs and what we would like to have our district be able to do with memorials. So that we'll have to work on that probably over the summer. We've got a policy meeting that we're going to do next week so we can kind of bring it at that point. But the passing of it is a little disjointed because of the summer at this point. But we'll, I think, I can't speak for the committee, but I think we can put together a good policy that doesn't turn our schools into like a big one memorial after another, but honors the people that are due to be honored.
Right. So does that mean that that's something that you need to work out before you can give approval?
I don't think so. I think it'll just need, I think the only piece for me is sort of because there's already pre-existing benches there that are in honor of other people, and those have been approved. So I think the only piece is that we just need to figure it out before with the memorial to James. That's the only piece that.
So then could the project potentially move forward with the understanding that we need to figure out exactly how memorials are awarded or placed or something like that?
Yes, I think so. Michelle, are you in agreement with that? Okay. Yeah.
The hope with this committee is that you give approvals soon.
Mm-hmm.
And then because we have to start fundraising.
Yep.
There isn't $50,000 to $100,000 sitting in a bank account somewhere to start digging, but we feel confident that we can find that money.
Okay. Yeah.
And I do think, as I said before, that it is a great segue to the need to replace the turf itself. That if we beautify the things that are outside, because the turf is coming due, if we beautify the things that are outside, and then we need to do that as well. It's all one big project.
That's an excellent point. Megan?
Conceptually, I think this is a great idea. It's a nice way to, be able to move forward with members of our community that have passed. And I appreciate always, coming to us with ideas and being so generous, including the senior class who's willing to participate too. I'm just wondering about the time frame.
Oh, well, we'd like to hit the ground running.
Yeah.
If you give us permission, we were literally planning on putting those out on the field for graduation with a QR code to the boosters PayPal, if anybody wants to start giving donations tomorrow. And then we are in the process of designing sort of a brand or a logo, if you will. And I didn't bring those today because they're not finalized, but I will certainly show you those when it is finalized. It would just basically have the logos and maybe some ribbon type thing, say, Memorial Park for our fans. We would love to get this done this summer. The landscaper that we're working with, or a few that we're talking to, are capable of doing it this summer. If we find them.
Are you going to sell the bricks as a fundraising?
Yes. Yes, we would sell the bricks as a way of fundraising. All these things need to be worked out, any approval, but the bricks would be a way to raise one amount, a bench would be a way to raise, a tree would be a way, to fund it, or just a general donation.
I think it's great. My only concern, we're thinking that the field is going to have to be done soon, as long as they can get to the field without interrupting this.
The field shouldn't interrupt us. The field is more of a length, because the groundwork for the field was done in 2012 when they installed.
Right.
We now have to roll out a new carpet.
Okay.
So
they can
it
do
won't
that.
be as invasive as
Okay.
it was the first time. And so, yes,
That's
I'm going to double check on
Okay.
that, but that's my understanding.
Sarah?
This is a beautiful idea. I think it's a great idea. I think it's important that we do give approval to Muffy tonight. I think, this class in particular has had a very difficult 4 years. And I think that if we can give them this approval and show our support, and this can be, Muffy can do what she needs to do for tomorrow night. I think that that's something that is really easy for us to do, and I'm fully prepared to do that. So I'll make a motion to approve the project as presented by Muffy tonight, and just will coordinate any particulars we need to for it to fall in line with the policy.
Sarah made a motion. Do I have a second? Megan, second.
Second. And I would just like to say thank you, Muffy, obviously, with all the things that boosters have done. This is just another project, and thank you to the class of 2022 for looking to, make this, their donation to the school as classes before them have done. Just a thought, as you get further down the road, it might be nice to have sort of an advisory committee. I don't know who all is going to pick the color of the stone, having just built a school, is it, Michelle with facilities and Todd, or like who you might reach out to, obviously, Principal Bauer and Greg and other people that are representative, so that somebody doesn't say who chose that or that kind of recommendation, given that you're going to probably have a lot of variables to choose from.
Right. And what I wanted to say is that there is a committee right now. It's just me and Dan here, but there is a committee behind the scenes that's that is working with me, or that I'm working with, and they're a great team of people. So I'm very excited about it. I'm going to do my best not to cry.
Given that
I think it's going to be amazing. Yes, I guess you don't need to pass it away, but I'm excited to see it come to fruition, and I think it will be a nice beautification to the school.
Yeah, it will. And I love sort of the legacy aspect of it, especially coming from the class of 2022. And I don't know, there's something really nice.
Yeah, it will be good, and I'm happy that the kids are happy with their choice to be a part of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I also wanted to mention that when we get, it sounds like you've approved it. So when we get further down the road, I'm happy to share with you what final plans are, what the branding and the logo is, and all those.
Yeah.
Maybe we could include a little walkthrough for our summer retreat.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun.
Good what?
We have a summer retreat every year, so maybe we could incorporate a walkthrough of where you're at that point.
Great.
All right, well, let's approve it.
Yep.
So, Sarah Gold, yes. Megan Taylor,
Yes.
Emily Barron.
Yes.
David Harris.
Yes.
And Sarah Fox.
Yes, thank you, Muffy.
All right, you're approved 5-0. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you.
And we will absolutely, whenever you want to come and present to us, just reach out and we'll get you on the agenda.
Okay. Perfect.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you and enjoy the lacrosse team. All right, now we will go back up to our regularly scheduled agenda and we are going to hear from Jean Scona. Dr. Bucky, I will have you take it and I think you've got.
Sure. Yeah, I think public comment makes a nice lead into this. Dr. Donnelly has been working with Jean this year on the contracted services for mindfulness. So I'll ask Dr. Donnelly to give the introduction.
Sure. I was very happy knowing that, as Kai had said, that mindfulness is, a really nice strategy, a nice way for all students to be able to really access some skills and strategies to support social and emotional well-being. So I was happy to have inherited the connection with Jean from my predecessor. And we were happy to, kind of start this from the ground with our integrated preschool programming to have Jean help support the high school mindfulness class and knowing that we have some other little organic pockets of mindfulness throughout the district that we tried to connect Jean with over the course of the year. So with that, as Sarah had said at the beginning, we've heard lots of really great things about mindfulness from all of the different levels over the course of the year. So I'm happy to let Jean take it from there.
So welcome, Jean.
Thank you. It's so nice to be here with you all. I really appreciate it.
Need to let you. All right, now you should be able to share your screen.
Okay. Great. Everyone see that okay?
Yes, I can.
Yes.
All right, great. Well, thank you for the introduction. For those of you that are on this Zoom or in person, I'm Jean Scona. I'm a wellness educator in Marblehead, and I've been in the town for 27 years and have 3 kids. And as Paula said, I was contracted to work with the district this year, educating students and teachers on mindfulness, which is one of my passions. So just so that we start off with a level playing field, I always love to share a definition that mindfulness is bringing one's attention to the present moment experience with an openness and a curiosity to be with whatever arises, and to do so with kindness and compassion for oneself. So I keep this in mind always when I'm working with students and teachers and creating lessons. So I can never start a presentation or a class without doing some sort of a mindfulness practice. And when I thought of what I wanted to start off the meeting with, what came to mind was this rollercoaster breath, using your hand, because I did it yesterday with 2nd graders and then with 6th graders. The 6th graders, we did it because we were doing a mindful drawing exercise using our hand. So we used our hand as our anchor, our focal point for breathing. And then with the 2nd graders, we referred to it as a roller coaster breath. And I was really touched. I had a 2nd grade boy who sometimes has a hard time regulating himself, who offered to come up and lead the class in it. So I would like to lead you all, if you would join me and raise your left hand, and using your pointer finger on your right, bring it down to the wrist on the thumb side. And what we'll do is we're going to breathe in to the tip of each finger and hold, and then breathe out as we go down. into the little gully. So starting out, breathing in to the tip of your thumb and hold. Breathing out. Breathing in to the tip of your pointer finger. Breathing out. Breathing in to the top of your middle finger. Hold. Breathing out. Breathing in to the tip of your ring finger and hold. Breathing out into the gully between your ring finger and pointer finger. Breathing in to the tip of your pointer finger and breathing out down to the wrist. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I feel ready to start. So what I'm going to do is just briefly walk you through kind of my intentions when I am creating lessons, and then I will take you through what I've done at each of the schools in the district. Okay, so when I'm creating my lessons for students and teachers, so again, my intentions when I'm writing these lessons is I'm going in to teach in the classroom, but I'm teaching also with the intention that teachers are learning from me and they can then go and teach the class, teach practices, use the language that I use. So one of my first intentions in the lesson is to try and connect with the students and do this with, interesting, fun ways, and also to bring in, especially with the middle school and older kids, some sort of relevant material that will lure them in. I also try to create a lesson that the students will have at least one moment of awareness of noticing. And that moment of awareness might be just like that this was really hard, and that's noticing. And then I also try to have one takeaway from the practice, from the lesson, just one thing that they can leave with, maybe go home, mention it to a parent, teach a sibling. Okay, so moving on, starting with pre-K and TK, these classrooms received 25 weeks of 25-minute lessons. And I wish that I could have recorded the first lesson compared to the 25th lesson. There was profound changes, and it was incredible. And the kids noticed it and they felt so good about it. So what you see up on my screen are just some images of things that we did in the lessons, because with my lessons, I'm trying to engage them in age-appropriate ways. So we do superhero mindfulness practices. We use bubbles. We use movement and music. We use literature and different stories. And the literature also ties in with SEL work. So that's kind of in a nutshell what I did with pre-K and TK. Then I was at the Brown School, and this was a little bit varied, but I had 3 classrooms that had 12 or more lessons. I had 2 classrooms that had 5 lessons, and then the remaining classrooms received 3 lessons, and that was funded by the Brown School PTO. So we can say that all students at the Brown School have had a minimum of 3 mindfulness lessons. And their lessons too were engaged. There was literature, there was mindful walking outside. We did a mindful tasting with kale and pineapple, mindful movement, and different games. And then to Village. Village has been a sweet spot for me. Dr. Amy Amico joined the district this year and did her dissertation on mindfulness with early childhood development and is really championing it at the school. So it was great to work with her this year. She brought the Choose Love SEL program to the school. I took the training and tried in all the lessons that I taught at Village to integrate this SEL, all the lessons, so that there was some synergy between what I was doing and what the teachers and the advisors were teaching. So I met with all of the 4th grade for 2 30-minute lessons. I've seen half of 5th grade for 5 30-minute lessons. And then 6th grade, I would say there's been a minimum of 2 lessons, and then there's been a few classrooms that have had as many as 6 lessons. It's tricky with their schedules. And some of the images that you'll see on this screen as far as what I was teaching, I brought into play how professional athletes and the special forces in the military are using mindfulness, and had a connection with Matt Ryan, formerly with the Atlanta Falcons, and he made a video for the village school students about how he practices mindfulness. And that was that definitely grabbed the attention of many 6th grade boys in particular. We did mindful drawing lessons. We've done gratitude exercises using our 5 senses. We've talked about how emotions, mindfulness and emotions are really important. So those are just a few of those. In addition to teaching, I've also assisted Dr. Amico with getting the mindfulness room going for the faculty, which is just such a great space the PTO funded. And have had the pleasure of working with some of the educators in that space to lead them in mindfulness practices. And then I've also been assisting Dr. Amico with a mindfulness drive for the whole district, where we've been putting great amounts of content having to do with mindfulness. And all my lessons will be up on that drive as well at the end of the school year. So it's been a great pleasure to work with her and integrate mindfulness into the SEL program at Village. At VETS, as of tomorrow's my last day there, all students, all 7th and 8th graders will have had at least one 30-minute lesson. Some may have more with the scheduling. We've had some overlap. Sometimes I see kids in Just Read, sometimes I see kids in math or science. So there's definitely been a few kids that have received more than one lesson. And for these lessons, again, this is a tough age group to teach mindfulness to. And I try to keep it really relevant and interesting, and talk about mindfulness and technology, talk about mindfulness with our brain. A lot of them are really interested in the science behind it and what's happening. We talk about how the military and the professional athletes are using it. We even got outside 2 science classes, and we're noticing how we felt moving our body in different yoga poses and holding different body postures. So, not a lot of time with the vet students, but I think pretty impactful. And then lastly, at the high school, as Paula had mentioned, there's a mindfulness course, an elective, where about 30 students for the whole year have been taking it. And what I've done is helped a high school guidance counselor who's been teaching it. I go in approximately 1 or 2 times a month and kind of co-teach different lessons for her. And I'm also helping her I've been helping her to build the content for the 60 lessons. I think it's maybe even 65 lessons that these students have had, which is remarkable. So you'll see on the left, there's a mindfulness course screenshot. And we have a lot of content that I know the course is not being continued next year, but hopefully if it comes back, we've got all these lessons to carry forward. So before I end and wrap it up, I just want to bring up something that has been on my mind since I listened in on some of the spring school committee meetings where you were talking about the budget and the importance of DEI work and bringing on a coordinator. And I couldn't agree with you more that this is so necessary in our community. But I want to just bring a little bit of a mindfulness piece to it, because we practice equanimity, and these quotes here are from an author, Ruth King, that wrote a really wonderful book called Mindful of Race. And so she describes equanimity as being able to stand in the middle of all things, right? Uncomfortable, whatever comes your way. The practice of mindful equanimity is noticing it and being able to be in it and be curious and be open. she goes on to say it's an invaluable inner resource that is cultivated through awareness. Okay, mindfulness is awareness and noticing. And in fact, Maggie Dobin spoke at one of the school committee meetings and said that the importance of self-awareness in the development of DEI skills is vital. And I wouldn't disagree with her. But what I would like to encourage leadership to think about as you are rolling out DEI initiatives is that, you have to have a presence of mind to notice your thoughts and your feelings, as well as those of others around you. And how might we be open and understanding and compassionate and inclusive of others and do that DEI work if we're not aware of what we're in the middle of? And that's the work of mindfulness, and it's really the foundation, and it's also a partner. So I'd encourage you to just consider that as you're rolling out, programs, that mindfulness it's not just enrichment, it's a partner in SEL work, it's a partner in DEI work, and the students need first to have that awareness and notice what's going on inside of them as well as what's outside of them. In closing, I just have a great amount of gratitude and thankfulness for this opportunity to work with the district. I have met and worked with so many incredibly hardworking educators and leadership who are really working so hard and are so dedicated to the students. And I've learned a lot from them. I've grown, I believe, as a mindfulness educator myself. And just really thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Jean. And thank you for coming to present to us tonight and outlining all the great work that you've done over the past year. Does anybody have any questions for Jean, comments?
I don't necessarily have a question for Jean. I mean, Jean, thank you for the work you've done. I've heard from my own student, some of the feedback from sessions she's had, and it's all been really positive. And from the teachers too. I'm on the SAC at the village school, and there's been a lot of positive feedback on the mindfulness room, the work you've done there. So thank you for all the time and effort you've put into kind of helping our students, move forward from a social emotional standpoint. And really, like you said, the self-awareness that starts, at any age. So thank you for that. I guess my question is really to Dr. Bucky, and not for an answer for right now, but just thinking about how do we continue the work that's been done here and make sure that we're not, that everything that she's put in place, the content that she's developed, the training that she's done, how do we continue to move that forward?
Sarah?
Thank you, Jean. Can you, if you don't mind, talk a little bit about what work you already are planning on continuing next year? I know that it's not embedded in our budget, but my understanding is you are continuing some of your work next year. Am I incorrect in that at least for the Brown School?
No, at this juncture, I have I have a contract with another school outside of the district, but
I thought you were doing it through the PTO at Brown. I apologize.
No, I have not heard from the PTO if they're interested in that. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much for the work that you have done. And I have seen firsthand how this impacted our students and our staff. I think many of our staff has found it very meaningful in a year that's been very hard to come back and kind of be present for their students after what we've all come through. And I think your work has been very helpful. So I appreciate that. And I would encourage us as a committee to look at the impact this has on our district, on our students, on our staff. And it is in our purview to facilitate this being embedded in our budget. And I would just encourage us as a committee to do that.
Jean, again, thank you so much. I've Tower does a lot with mindfulness. So I call it finger breathing, is one of my favorite go-tos as well. And, I like it because it's kind of a little bit multi-sensory at that point, because it feels nice when you're tracing your fingers. That's calming as well. So I appreciate that was the one that you chose to do. And yeah, like Megan said, I think that's what I was struck with, was just sort of how many touch points you had through the district, and the hope that, this contracted work that you've done is able to grow within the district, after all of the teaching that you've done. And so, finding ways to make sure that happens in the future is definitely a worthwhile endeavor. So we appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Principal Bauer, you're up next with the FY, I guess, 22-23 school year high school field trip updates.
Through the chair.
Yes.
I'm going to help Dan out. Dan and I, we met with each of the field trip proposals and know all of the content and ask the questions. As a former language teacher, I was on the other side of this table many times, but it is through policy that school committee needs to approve these trips. And it's not necessarily the content of the trips or where they're going or where they're staying. They're traveling with reputable companies, and the insurance piece is all covered. But to each approve the trip to France, the trip to Orlando, and the
Music trip to Orlando.
yeah. Okay.
All right. Thank you. Go right ahead.
Great. Well, thank you for having us here. Just quite simply, Mary Francois, our French teacher extraordinaire, would like to bring back the French trip that has run successfully. So we provided a memo that she put together. As we met with Dr. Buck, the highlights are there in terms of everything that's required. I think the big piece too that we asked for is protection with any unforeseen issues that come up, i.e. COVID, and that's covered as best we can through the policy and the insurance. So very highlights. Right.
Yeah, so we'll definitely be insurance. I specifically wanted to travel with this company coming out of COVID because we've used them before, and they've been very supportive in situations, and because they have this insurance policy that is full of refunds no matter what, up to 4 days before. So it can be for any reason. So that allows for the unforeseen, which is what we have already experienced. And also it allows, it's a language immersion. So it does allow some extra, even though it's not an exchange or homestay like we have traditionally done, it does allow some different language experiences, like going to a high school. They have homes that host students for dinner, and there is an encouragement to speak the language throughout the trip. So there were some bonuses to it, but also kind of, I feel secure that it's like a completely planned trip through the program.
The nice thing about it as well, Mary has a lot of experience. Andrew West, our other French teacher, will work together on this piece. And the approval now is important because of the fundraising that's required for this. So as we are winding down the year, I know Mary and Andrew have been talking to French students, and obviously waiting till we have approval before they can move forward. Fundraising piece too. So.
Yeah, so we do have families that are already interested if it gets approved, and then our current pricing through the company is through July 1st. So we would be asking families to sign up in the next month, and then after that, it's for the moment and unseen what would happen with increased prices. But and yeah, hopefully fundraising will be a part of that. So certainly it's expensive.
It is in the disclaimers, as we always talk about, sorry to interrupt, is that we work with families if there's ever a situation of need, we always work on that piece to make it work for families. So they can
Great. Any questions for Dan?
The only question I have, more just for curiosity, is how does the chaperone work?
So it would depend on numbers. So according to the companies, the standard, and this one does too, they provide a free chaperone for every 6. And that's also our policy is 1 adult per 6. So that works out. So for right now, we have myself and Andrea West, the other French teacher, be able to travel. And then after that, we don't have a set policy on how we would decide or choose, who would, if we needed extras. The trips that I've done before, we've always done just 2. We've also done homestays, so it was a little bit easier. We weren't necessarily traveling with the kids. So that would be something we have to talk about and decide on if we have more than 12.
Would it typically be another staff member or would it be a parent?
Yes.
Staff
Staff
member,
member, okay.
yes, and typically, certainly again, usually somebody in the world language department or the principal, so.
Dan and I are already
For
on
me
this.
to step in, I have done, we've usually I have had to ask like what kind of last minute, and so we've asked first in our department, anyone. And then outside of that, I've also asked high school, and then one year I asked full districts, any employee, we're going to France, come with us.
Sarah?
Do you happen to know off the top of your head, is this the same company we were going to use 2 years ago? I only asked because I remember we did have to cancel that trip. And if it is the same company, did that work well in that when that happened, were all the families happy with how that, no one was happy the trip got canceled, but were they okay to work with? I asked that because international travel right now, as we know, like different things are happening, different countries are coming up with different rules at different times. And if, God forbid, at the time of travel, a country has put in force a rule that some of our students may not meet, be that vaccination or something else, I want to be ensured that any student would get their money back.
So that's why, so it's not the same company, it's a different trip. So we were planned in 2020 to do a homestay experience. So this trip is with a different company that I've worked with previously. But also, like I said, the insurance that, students would have to choose it, the families would have to buy into it, but that allows them, no matter what the reason, up to 4 days before we leave. So if we're saying a week before, you're gonna have to get A, B, and C, and they say, you know what, no, that's part of that cancellation policy and they get full refund.
Okay. And then I want to make sure that anybody signing up, because this is a larger sum, is cognizant that the EU at any time or at any time can change what the requirements to cross their border are. And depending on someone's status, that could change something at the last minute. So I just want everybody to have their eyes fully opened when they sign up for this.
Yes.
Absolutely.
All right, can I get a motion to approve the travel request to France for April 2023? Megan moved. Emily second. All right, roll call vote. Sarah Gold, yes. David Harris.
Yes.
Megan Taylor. Yes. Emily Barron. Yes. And Sarah Fox.
Yes.
Right. Thank you very much. That passes
Thank you.
5 years. Have fun. Yeah.
Good time. Mr. Jordy?
Again, through the chair.
Yes, go ahead.
Dan and I have vetted the trip. And so they're seeking your approval if you have questions about the insurance or the company or things like that. But Dan and I did meet with Coach Jordy and have gone through all the specifics of the operations of the trip.
All right.
Just as we spoke about the French trip, we met and have gone through all the particulars. Coach Jordy, Mr. Jordy brought this to our attention. We have not done a basketball trip since I've been here, but there's great opportunity here. Other schools do this. It's a great way to build camaraderie. I'm also pleased that the girls team would like to attend as well. So I think that's awesome. So Mike, any particulars you want to provide?
It's a trip that I've been interested in for quite a while. Coach Tommy Doyle over at Salem, my alma mater, has done it for a number of years, including last year, which I was shocked at. When I say last year, this past season, with all the COVID regulations, they were able to attend. It's something that I think would be great for our program, it would be great for our school. It would bring us together, not just on the trip, but in the entire aspect of the fundraising efforts. And I think this is something that the school really would enjoy and have a lot of fun with. And of course, once we decided to try to move forward with this, Coach Moran, the girls team is all on board as well. It's a great trip. As I said, Coach Doyle has done it for a number of years. Actually, 2 out of the last 3 because they got canceled for COVID. Several Massachusetts schools are going down. Just a great opportunity for us to go down there and really build out.
Through the chair. Just to attend to Megan's question, Mr. Girardi is not interested in me chaperoning this trip.
You read my mind, John. My question was going to be. I am interested in chaperones, though. John's.
For us, it would be our coaches first. We have JV coach, freshman coach, and a varsity assistant. So right there would be, and myself would be 4 for the boys team. Be a similar situation for the girls team. We're looking at approximately 13, 14, 15 players. It's a challenge for us, obviously, is our team cannot be set until we have tryouts. So we have spoken with the organizers of this, and up to 7 days, we can change any names or anything like that, or add or subtract people from this trip. In terms of insurance, we have a similar situation. We have I believe, a small fee, and if up to 5 days prior to the trip, we can cancel for any reason, and we can get all of our money back except for the insurance.
Sarah?
So, as far as the fee for this goes, I understand you'll be having some fundraising. My concern is this is a little different than from the French trip, where it's purely you can go in the French trip or not go in the French trip, and you can, French class is French class. But this, if you're on the basketball team, I would assume the presumption is the whole team would go. However, with this price tag, I don't know. I just want to make sure it's not deterring any players from trying out. I know it wouldn't keep them off the team, but how are we going to handle this?
I'm not sure of your question, Sarah. I'm sorry.
Well, is there some type of scholarship in place for players that have made the team but cannot afford the trip, I guess, to simplify?
I'm happy to answer that, Sarah. The same policy, the same procedure would apply to this as with any trip. If there's a demonstrated financial need, that's where we'll make sure that nobody would be denied the trip. So regardless of that.
Perfect.
That means Dan's paying. That's all right.
Okay.
All right. Can I get a motion to approve the MHS boys and girls varsity basketball trip to Florida in December of 2022?
So moved.
David moved. Second. Megan second. Roll call vote. Sarah Gold, yes. David Harris.
Yes.
Megan Taylor. Yes. Emily Barron. And Sarah Fox.
Yes.
Right. Thank you very much. That passes 5-0. Have
Thank
fun.
you very much.
All right, Dan, I think you've got one more for us.
We do. Mr. Scolio is not able to attend tonight, so I decided to present for him. And just as Dr. Bucky indicated with the 2 previous trips, the same discussion took place with Mr. Scolio, myself, and Dr. Bucky in terms of particulars, vetting this through. This trip is very important for our performing arts. They, a few years ago, as you know, brought the trips to the committee for approval to build the program. And programs need trips like this to not only compete, they have an opportunity, but they're judged, but it brings the camaraderie together. This is an encore they've utilized before. It's a great venue. At Disney, it's right around April break. Mr. Scully will have the chaperones worked out as we utilize the staff members accordingly. And if they need more, then I have to decide between France and Orlando. But this is a great opportunity. Just knowing the culture of our music program, this would be welcome for them to return back for this. So enthusiastically support this as well. And the same parameters would follow true with any fundraising. If there are any students that demonstrate need, we'll make sure that they're able to be on this trip. So that will not deter students from being part of this.
I really appreciate your point about growing the program. That's actually just talking to Dr. Bucky today about growing the music program here. So, that's well taken. Any other questions or comments?
Make a motion to approve the trip as outlined for the music club, or is it music club or the music department? Music department.
right, so David's got a motion on the floor.
Yeah, I'll second it, but I do have a question.
Megan, second. All right. Megan?
Just under the fundraising piece, and it's more just for clarification.
Sure.
It says it includes free trip fundraiser through the tour company. How does that work?
So they're able to create an incentive, and then that would be dissolved within the total cost, as I understand it.
So if we prove that we're fundraising, they'll take that $1,000.
So that would then go back into the cost that could reduce that piece.
That's great. And same question, that's the chaperoning work.
So the chaperoning will work with our existing music staff, our new band director, we're so excited about that. Mrs. Scolio, Ms. Frias, who's our strings teacher, Ifrion, who works middle school as well, are great supporters with that. And certainly from that point, if additional staffing is needed, we'll have staff go. I'm sure we'd love to go on this trip.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Never got to go to Orlando in all of the band of music I did, so, I have to throw my hat in that ring.
Duly noted.
Yeah, I just want to say, this is for all 3 trips. It's really great to see that we offer all of these amazing opportunities for our students to travel all over the place. It's great for all different areas.
These were great meetings that we had.
Yeah.
It's great to see not only the return back to this, it's just great for our students, these experiences.
Yeah, adding new ones and teachers and coaches feeling like that they can bring them up with new ideas, I think is great.
Right, got a motion on the floor. So I'll take a roll call vote. Sarah Gold, yes. David Harris.
Yes.
Megan Taylor, yes. Emily Barron,
Yes.
and Sarah Fox.
Yes.
Right, passes 5-0 as well.
Thank you.
Thank you
Safe
very much.
travels.
All right, we appreciate all of your support.
Yes.
As well, folks. Thank you.
Right back to you.
Thanks for all your work.
Yes, thank you, Dan. All right, Dr. Bucky, I think that actually leads us to your district updates.
Yes, Lisa dropped a memo in today. These are 3 very to the point, short updates. The stipend committee has finalized our work. We had our last meeting yesterday where we were reminded we started this in November. I wasn't aware that we had been at it that long, but the resolution is excellent. It really kind of brings the contract and those stipended positions up to date. And incorporate some changes for the music department, for our coaches, our club and activities. Receives a healthy increase for next year. Falls in line with the allocated budget money that we put forward to address the stipend issues. MEA will be taking this to membership on the 14th in advance of our meeting on the 16th. So we should have something for the committee to vote on the 16th.
Great.
Anything about stipends? Or
Sarah's got a question.
You said it's in line. Does it exceed at all the number that we had as a placeholder?
It does not.
Perfect, thank you.
And then the leadership retreat, we have decided we'll go back to Endicott this year. We're going to go on the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th of August. And I just put down some of the things that are on the agenda. One of the biggest pieces for me will be team development. We'll have 2 new principals, we'll have a new METCO director, we'll have a food service director. So team building in that. And then obviously a lot of operational things with the TAT process, continuing our MTSS work, bringing some more data-informed decisions, bringing data protocol to the leadership team, looking at our PD calendar, mapping that out for the year, some human resources stuff, some student services stuff. So I think it will be 3 very filled days. Questions about the retreat?
Great time.
We enjoyed it last year. Yeah. And then the long-awaited MAPT bus audit has arrived. Michelle and Todd and I will be meeting to look at, they did a really nice job. They had some commendations in the report. They had some findings. They provided a lot of data for comparable districts and what they're doing, some districts in the area. They made some recommendations for us, several recommendations for us. And so Michelle, Todd, and I will be getting together to operationalize those findings. And then I thought a nice piece would be, because we've been talking about busing and this audit, is to have Colleen Kavanaugh, who came and did the audit, come to the school committee retreat in August and kind of walk you through kind of the methodology and the information that they had so that you could have some insight into the work there. Yes.
I'm glad we finally got the results. That's good news.
You're not alone.
A couple things.
Yep.
One is it'd be great to have her come and kind of walk through this, but I'm hopeful that following on from that conversation during the retreat, we're talking about what does that actually mean in terms of actions on our ends? Like, what are we actually doing as a result of this bus audit? What changes are we going to make, and what's the timeline around that? I think one other thing maybe that you can talk about is, we've got the pilot program running now. I don't know that we've officially decided that we'll continue to offer that. I don't think it's necessarily a pilot anymore, but continue to offer the pay for ride program. But I'm just wondering if you can talk through kind of how we move that forward and what that's going to look like for parents.
Some of that is contingent on question 2, because we put an additional driver in. If we were able to fund an additional driver, that would be for the pay to ride program, that bus could be dedicated for that, which would open a considerable number of seats. We have to look at enrollment and what we're obligated currently for busing, but we have every intention of continuing the pay to ride program. I can't tell you now, it won't be 8 seats, it'll be 15 this year. But if we have the opportunity to expand it for our K-6, we'd like to do that.
So how do we, and when do we let new parents know what that's going to look like so that they can start to make plans for their students?
I would say once school ends, we should be able to get information out to families by mid-July.
We'll know on question 2 and
Yes.
where that stands as well.
Okay. What's that?
We don't have it set yet.
I think that's on your agenda.
It's not on the agenda tonight. It'll be on the agenda for the reorganizational meeting, since we'll have a new committee.
Okay. I guess I just want to make sure that we're giving parents enough time to make plans for their students and not having to do this last minute. So, if the override passes, then that gives us another bus driver, right? So that opens up a number of different spots.
In theory.
Assuming we've got the bus driver, right? But I just think I want parents to know what our plan is and have them have enough time to make decisions.
Mm-hmm. Sarah?
I'd also like us to put on a future agenda, not too far in the future, for us to talk about after we look at this audit as a school committee, what we want to do as a district to expand our busing. I think, we are adding areas in the budget, which is good. It's a good starting point. But the problem is if we're not attracting drivers, if we're not attracting people to apply, we could put 10 more positions in the budget and it's not going to move the needle at all. So I think I really want to look at an analysis of what other districts are paying their drivers. If we're comparable, I'm going to assume that's the number one issue here. If there's only 50 drivers and there's a need for 200, those 50 drivers are going to go to whoever's paying the most or has the best benefit package. So I think that if we really are going to make busing a priority in our town, and we have heard that, parents want it, that it's a more sustainable minded thing to do. We have a lot of data points. I don't think it's a mystery that this is the direction we need to move. How can we facilitate that? And in my opinion, we have to increase the rate of pay to get those bus drivers in. So yes, I'm supportive of adding that element for another current position, but until we start paying more, we're just not going to get the applications. So I think we have to, if we really want to sink our teeth into fixing this problem, we have to have that conversation.
I would agree with that, with the caveat of, the National Guard was literally called into districts last fall to bus people. So, it's a national issue at this point. I just sort of I agree. didn't say it in the stipend piece, but I would love to take a deep dive into all of our salaries, and what we pay all levels of staff. And make sure that we're competitive. We want to be a competitive school district in every aspect. And so bus driving, absolutely. And, when there's a shortage, yes, it goes to the highest bidder, but at the same time, there's within reason. So.
Is the salary in the audit? Like, is that something they looked at and compared to other? So
they looked at it. I'm not sure how much they dove into it. Too much for report, but yes, they definitely consider that.
I look forward to hearing from them and hearing from you guys on operations on it. Yeah, absolutely. All right, that's it. Okay, thank you, Dr. Bucky. All right, that moves us on to finance and organizational support. There is the clerk's FY23 compensation plan that was in our folder this evening. Does anybody have any questions on that? Try to find it.
My question is, if we can just confirm that that is in line with what our union, that increase is in line with what our union is getting as well?
That's the question on the bargaining for unit.
Yes. Unit A is getting essentially a 1.5% because they're getting a 1% on the first day of the year and a 1% halfway through the year. Instead of a solid 1%.
Okay.
Years it's staggered just as it was this year.
Any other questions? All right, can I get a motion to approve the FY23 clerk's salary and benefits as stated in their contract?
So moved.
Megan moved,
Second.
David second. Roll call vote. Sarah Gold, yes. David Harris,
Yes.
Megan Taylor, Emily Barron,
Yes.
and Sarah Fox.
Yes.
All right, thank you, everyone. That passes 5-0. And then there were schedules. Can I get a motion to approve the identified schedules of bills totaling $312,205.89? Megan moved,
Second.
David second. Any questions on those? All right, roll call vote. Sarah Gold, yes. David Harris,
Yes.
Megan Taylor, Emily Barron,
Yes.
and Sarah Fox.
Yes.
Great. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, as always, Michelle. Okay, so that leads us to our portion of the meeting. First, I might put the informational budget forums update. So Sarah and Dr. Bucky and I attended the first one only about a week ago, and it went well. There was a few numbers that in taking slides from previous presentations, I failed to notice that some of the numbers were different. So those have been fixed on the I believe they're fixed on the original document, correct? So anything that I sent along to the committee with those slides is fixed as well. We've got the next forum coming up on June 8th at 7 o'clock right here. And we are, I believe, we're posted for it. So just making sure that we've got a quorum that will be able to come on the 8th. We will. I will be here. Got third. You'll be there, Sarah?
I believe I will.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
It's also, it's a hybrid meeting, so there's a Zoom.
Yes, it is a hybrid meeting. There is a Zoom. I know Dr. Bucky has been working with a few groups around town, the Council on Aging, and a few others to kind of get the information out. Again, it's post. This one we were able to post this one officially, so it has that noticeability as well. So hopefully, people will know and be able to attend, whether in person or on Zoom. Let's see. The other pieces that I wanted to discuss is
Is there,
just.
I'm sorry, is there a
Yeah.
second date? The last and final
Yeah,
date?
the last and, yes, thank you, David. I should get that out there as well. The last and final date is Monday, the 13th, again at 7 PM, again here, and we are posted for that as well. So yes, thank you, David. That we want to have a meeting before then. So I'll be there for that one, but three or Emily.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, sorry, David.
Hold on one second. I'm pretty sure.
Okay. I have a little bit of conflict on that one. It's 10th here.
She gets out. All right, early.
You'll be here. All right, great. Yeah, so if anybody has any tweaks, just let myself or John know on that presentation. We plan it to be pretty straightforward, with just highlighting certain pieces of information. I got us a table at the farmer's market on the 18th, Saturday, the 18th. So again, this will be fully informational. No, we're not pushing either way to vote. But what I wanted to ask is, do we want 2 people there just through the whole thing? I can do that. I can be one of those people. Do we want to stagger it with different people showing up at different times?
I can do it.
Okay. I can do it as well. So, all right. All right, so Megan and I'll take that. I reached out about the 11th as well. And he, at that point, did not have any tables left on the 11th, but I did let him know that if one opens up at the last minute to let me know, I would be able to man that as well. And so just, if that happens, I'll reach out and see if anybody can come with me. So, Megan, I think you had a few ideas on getting information out as well, as far as kind of just hanging out at coffee shops, and being able to, answer questions.
I think just the more roundabout, the better. Got about 2.5 weeks. Weekends are always a good time to be out and about talking to people. We did before, so it's, coffee shops and movies and sun and stuff. So just have to.
Yeah. And if anybody, we have that document that we had set up for town meeting to kind of organize, and, if anybody wants anybody else to come with, obviously with the 2 of us. So if anybody wants
I think that Google Doc is a really cool tool, just so everybody's aware of what we're all doing and we're not duplicating efforts.
Absolutely.
And we're also, helping out, pitching where we can.
Yeah, and we did also contact the Ethics Commission and on campaign finance as well. And so there is a tab on our district website with the information. It's got the presentation, the forum presentation, and other budget documents from along the way, so that if people have questions or want more in-depth information on the different things that are in that request, they can go to those pages and find that information. Anything else am I missing? I don't think so. All right, great. Yeah, so we'll maybe reshare. Can you reshare that that document with the sign up pieces, and just, I'll add the farmers market, and we'll just take it from there and try to keep it up to date. Okay. All right, wonderful. Next up is the superintendent summative evaluation process. Evaluations officially due. Mine, I am grouping it one more time, and I will have it to you this evening.
I'm giving extensions, including myself, Monday.
So Emily has very generously said Monday. So get those to her, and then she and Lisa will work to put them into the summative evaluation, and that she is going to work to, they're going to work to do that no later than.
Right, we wanted it in the Google Drive
by the 14th, which should be 48 hours before our next meeting, which is when we'll discuss that and vote on it together. All right, I think anything else on that? Yeah. All Right, and everybody's got the PDF that is editable. Watch out, it doesn't catch your spelling, so just so you know. Yep.
So it is, I was looking, it's not a Word.
Correct.
It was going to be a Word document.
Right, and then it's the easiest way to keep it in its original format was to do it as an editable PDF. So you can help out on that, so.
And then just to be clear, in the template that's blank that we'll fill out, we have Dr. Bucky's self-eval, and he has highlighted the areas just like last year, similar to last year's document. They're highlighted in yellow.
Yep.
And those are the ones that he's asking us to evaluate him on. Even though Dr. Bucky has done sort of a full self-assessment on a lot more than those.
Yes.
But for us, we want to drill in.
Correct, just those targeted, I think they call them the focus indicators.
Right.
Like, and yeah, so they're highlighted.
Okay.
Just a clarification,
Yes.
because we set goals for Dr. Bucky for this year.
Right.
And so when we're reviewing and rating, it's based on, did he meet those goals?
Correct, level to which he met those
Right.
goals, and those documents are in the evaluation
But
folder
just
as
like,
well.
so we're all clear, like, it is not, that's what we're measuring him on, the goals that we set for him.
Right.
Yes, that we approved, yes.
And that's what I'm looking to get a little bit of clarification on page 3,
Yep.
where it has the student learning,
Yes.
professional practice.
And then there's upwards of 4 district improvements, and Dr. Bucky had given us 2 district improvement goals.
Right.
So those are
Right.
in there, and there's a
No, last year we had a one where there was sort of a one, the focus indicators come from down below, whether it was 1A, B, 1, 2, D, versus the description. There was sort of a one-line description, but in Dr. Bucky's self-eval, it's hard to determine what the one, what we put in the description of the student learning goal, I guess. It wasn't pre-formatted.
Yes, it's not pre-formatted. So if you go to this, the copy of the SMART goals, that has it all laid out. So it's on that first page, the district improvement, goal 1A and 1B, goal 2 with the professional practice, and goal 3 of the student learning.
Okay.
So some of the indicators that he's given us, I guess maybe indicators is the wrong word here, the references that you've given us on various memos. Lisa and I, actually, Dr. Bucky had an additional rubric that I hadn't seen until this afternoon. And so we dropped it into that folder today, and it's in, not only is in the superintendent eval folder, but it's in the documents for this evening as well. So it talks about standard 1, standard 2, standard 3, and standard 4, and then A1, B 1, 2, 3. So this is.
So like this is last year's.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm sharing for the public is just last year's evaluation, same format, same template. It had the focus indicators, but there was just a one-line description: school visits or educator evaluation, new superintendent's induction program. I'm just at a loss to find out what description I'm plugging in.
Yeah, so you can
under the goal.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or Dr. Bucky's saying he can provide it because yours expanded it, but I don't know that we need to put.
Oh, I see what you're saying, that whole.
Yeah.
In there. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Thanks, Sean. John can just kind of clear those up for us.
Everybody.
Perfect.
Great. Sarah?
So at the last meeting, we had talked about getting it to us in that Word format. And I know you just said that we decided not to.
PDF that Lisa sent it in an email.
No, I know that, but I was still I still thought the Word, is it okay to still do it can we do it in the Word format? Is it not functional? Is that what you're telling me? Like that Emily can't, it's not able to be formatted?
So it was easiest to do because we were concerned about the Google Docs piece where if you open it in Google as a Google Doc, then it changes all the formatting in the boxes and everything. I think you and I ran into that problem last year, Sarah. And so I believe you can, if it's preferable to put it into Word for you, I believe that's fine. It just, when you send it to Lisa, send one that's editable because Lisa cleans them up a little bit, but then also send a saved version of it just so that there can't be any kind of discrepancies of anything being changed, that there is a saved document that is the final thing. And then Lisa can have an editable document so that if there's any formatting or, spelling.
Yeah, no, I mean, on Word, you can just export it as a locked PDF. So that's a great way to go about it. All right.
Okay. All right. I think that's it on that. So come to Emily ASAP and Lisa. All right, policy IKF. We saw this last time, so this is our third read. We made a little change last time under 4 years of lab-based science, which include biology, chemistry, and physics. It said physics/engineering. It needs to read physics or engineering. That change was made. So can I get a motion to approve the modifications for policy IKF, graduation requirements? Megan moved.
Second.
David second. Any questions on that? All right. I will do roll call vote. Sarah Gold, yes. David Harris.
Yes.
Megan Taylor. Emily Barron.
Yes.
And Sarah Fox.
Yes.
Great. Thank you, everyone. That passes 5-0. Next up is the MASC sanctuary resolution. Emily, I will dish that to you.
Okay, so this resolution came to Sarah Gold and my attention earlier this week. We talked about it. So just for some background, the resolution was created by a member of the Worcester School Committee. And what I found out is that anyone can create a resolution and get submitted to the MASC's resolution committee, and you need 5 school committees to vote yes on the resolution for it to go to the committee to then be approved to go to the bigger delegation.
Yes, at the conference
yeah,
in
so,
November.
And then it becomes one of the ones that everyone can approve. So it's already been approved by 5, but we are looking at it to add an extra vote to show even more support for this resolution. So the intent of the resolution is to convey that transgender students are safe and welcome in our schools. But the bottom piece of the resolution, which is the greater idea of it, is that the resolution asks that MASC will call on the General Court of Massachusetts to join other states in the passage of sanctuary laws for transgender children. So my feeling is that no matter what happens in the end result of this resolution, is that we as a school committee can make a statement to the students of Marblehead that we all feel that this resolution is important and that all students who are in our district should feel safe and protected. And I believe that this brings us a step closer in our district vision of when we talk about all means all, and being inclusive of everybody. And I think whenever there's a meaningful step that we can take to bring us towards that goal, I think we should, as a committee, do it to show. Stand.
Yeah. So this one came to my attention as I was looking through the MASC daily articles that come through last week. And it was passed by the Grafton School Committee last week. And that was there was an article in there. And so I pulled it up to see, because it said talked about Grafton supporting transgendered youth. And so I pulled it up to see what was going on, and this was there. So it has gotten its 5 votes by yesterday, which was the deadline. So that's great. And again, as Emily said, I think it's a really important thing to put forward in support of the youth in our district. This one, unlike many, I think all of the resolutions we've looked at since I've been on the committee, all the other resolutions have always had legislators that we've been sending them to. This, like Emily said, goes to MASC, and how I'm understanding it would sort of, if it's passed at the delegation in November, it would kind of give MASC the authority to get behind pushing the state to pass a sanctuary law for transgendered youth, which would protect them and protect other kids from other states where maybe the laws are not very favorable. So, you know, some of the reasons that I think that this is really important, you know, we've heard a lot over, you know, the past 2 years in particular, but even tonight about mental health and supporting our students. And, you know, some statistics are that 40% of transgendered people report a suicide attempt in their lifetime. And so, you know, as with all these kinds of statistics, that 40% is most likely even higher because these are people who are actually willing to report that attempt. And additionally, that there is an increased prevalence of anxiety and depression for transgendered people. And that transgendered people experience frequent and persistent stressors related to their identity and society's rejection of them. And that what research is starting to find is that at the state level, and in particular, the one that I was reading about with as far as health insurance is concerned, that when health insurance companies affirm transgendered people, it's been shown to decrease the risk of suicidality by 52%. So that to me, you know, although correlation isn't necessarily causation, that statistic speaks to me to the importance of us as a group and as adults and leaders in this community, putting these things forward and getting behind them. Because when transgender people in particular, but, you know, generally all of us feel supported, we feel better and we feel, you know, more like what pieces of us that are being supported are valuable and can, you know, valuable pieces of our communities. So, I mean, you know, as Yasin noted, our high school did a day of silence last week, kind of, you know, in support of all LGBTQ youth. So that's my thinking on this. So I know preferably we, you know, take a look at something and then come back the next week. I would ask that we push this one forward, you know, kind of, I think it's timely as Pride Month kicks off, and move forward with the vote on it tonight.
I cannot really come after that statement without seeing all the facts and the knowledge. I appreciate you all bringing this to our attention. We've talked a lot recently about equity and inclusion in our district and how important it is from a community standpoint for our schools, as a school committee that we support it, and this is how we walk. So all of our students should feel safe. All of our students and families should feel supported. And this is one way that we can show that.
Sarah?
I completely agree that all means all, and how important it is for every student to feel supported and feel welcomed and to feel accepted and just, you know, I don't know what a bigger word for accepted is right now. So I fully support all that. My question is, this is the first time I have seen this mechanism of how it usually when we voted on resolutions before, they've come via MASC. This is the first time I've seen this mechanism. So I apologize. I'm just not that educated on the mechanism in which this gets voted and how we do it. Would anybody be opposed to putting this on the next agenda? Because I would like to talk to Dorothy just so she can explain to me the logistics and the mechanism and how this all one feeds into the next thing. If no one, you know, is opposed to that, I would like to have a chance just to talk to Dorothy because, you know, it's just we've never been part of one that's gone this way. So I want to ask her what, you know, how logistically in the mechanism which all of this unfolds. I know it says vote, but because it was a new item that came on where our plan had been, Megan had pushed this throughout the year. I assumed that kind of was what was happening again. And I shouldn't have made that assumption. I'm sorry, but I just want to be able to touch base with Dorothy just because this is the first time we've ever done something this way.
So if I could?
Yeah.
So I thought I heard that this sort of is affirming a resolution that goes to MASC for the fall meeting. And it needs to pass through the fall meeting before it would then come back to the individual school committee meetings, or sometimes in advance of the MASC meetings, we allow our representatives to vote on our behalf.
Yeah.
Is that not true? So it would seem like we're going to get another, or the committee will get another opportunity to affirm their vote and understand how this is going, but this isn't anything that's going right off to a state rep or a state senator, or that we're sending it right to their email after this. This is running through MASC, so I don't see any harm about just moving forward and making a motion to support the recommended resolution as presented by Emily.
So you've made that motion?
Sure.
Okay.
Get
There
second
a
for
second?
discussion.
I'll second.
Okay. A motion and second.
So I think Sarah's right. I have kind of been pushing for us to slow down a little bit. I think this one isn't changing anything that we do. It's not a policy change. It doesn't impact how our schools run or function. It really is just making a statement to our students and our families that we think your safety is our number one priority. And that's why I'm prepared to vote for it tonight. I think, you and Emily have done the due diligence of talking to MASC and Dorothy and laid out exactly what the process is. And I have confidence in your conversations and you're reporting that back. So I'm fully prepared to vote for this tonight.
And I will say, Sarah, too, that this resolution is already set to go to the delegation in November, in November. It got the 5 school committees already, their support. Emily found that on Facebook earlier today. So it is going. So this is really, as Megan said, it isn't changing the way we do business here. It is literally just an affirmation vote that, all the whereases, and that we, as a committee are backing the idea around sanctuary laws.
I don't know enough I'm going to be perfectly honest. I don't know enough about the sanctuary law to understand if what we're voting is voting to affirm taking away parental rights. So that's where my question, I just wanted some clarification from Dorothy, if she knows how this pertains to parental rights of minors. So that was my question. But if everybody else has enough information, I just want to make sure I know exactly when you hear sanctuary, that usually is a piece of it. I just want to know exactly what I'm voting on. And I don't right now have all my information. So I want to be completely educated. Again, I think, all means all. Every one of our students, every child, every adult, all of our staff, we all need to be valued and celebrated for our differences and respected for our differences. And I 100% agree with that. I just, where this has legal ramifications, I want to make sure I know completely what I'm voting on. But if one of you can talk to me about that aspect, if you have more knowledge on it, then I'm happy to hear that from you guys and just follow up later on with Dorothy.
My understanding is that right now, Massachusetts has laws that protect trans children. And so this is to create sanctuary laws. So if people move from other states, from Massachusetts, or if they're transgender, they have a transgender child, that the other state can't say you can't get your care because you moved. I think it's similar to other types of sanctuary laws that are happening right now in our country. Right.
Okay, so it's not that if a child moves here to Massachusetts, that their parents' rights, if they leave their home, that their parents' rights are negated here in Massachusetts.
That's not my understanding of it.
If they move by themselves,
if it was a runaway situation, that their parents would have no recourse. That's the clarification I want, because I know that when you see sanctuary, whether it's immigration or different areas, that that's what that term sometimes pertains to. And that's I just want I always look for the legal clarification. I want to make sure that I know that answer before I vote one way or another.
Yeah, and so, this also isn't enacting any kind of sanctuary law.
Right,
Yeah,
and this
it's
isn't
just
a
simply,
law.
Yeah,
Literally just saying that we
supporting the legislature to look at that, to look at creating sanctuary laws in Massachusetts. All right, we've got a motion and it is seconded, so I will call for a roll call vote on this resolution. So Sarah Gold, yes. David Harris,
Yes.
Megan Taylor,
Yes.
Emily Marin, and Sarah Fox.
Yes, as long as I'm supporting looking further into this, that we didn't, I want to have, I like to have all the information and legal data before me before I take a stance on something.
All right, that passes 5-0. Thank you, everyone. All right, do we have any subcommittee and liaison updates? You do? Okay. Megan does.
I just want to make sure I say them in the right order of dates. So I do have a CPAC update. There will be a board meeting Tuesday. I hope it's a public meeting. I'm assuming it is. Nan isn't here. Is Nan online? Nan's going to be presenting to the CPAC on teaching and learning on June 7th at 10 a.m. On Thursday, June 9th, the CPAC is going to be hosting candidate night for school committee candidates. So that would be a Zoom, and also there will be awarding their unsung hero awards later this month too.
Hey, Megan, correct that the Unsung Heroes is still accepting nominations right now?
I believe nomination period has closed. I'm pretty sure it closed at the end of May, but I can double check and let you know on that. But it is, again, this is a virtual event this year as well, similar to last year.
All right. Thank you, Megan. The policy subcommittee meeting will be on the 7th. So I'll have to get Lisa some information on that tomorrow for that. With that, anything else? All right. Moving on to, I don't have any new business. Does anybody else?
I know Yasin might have to say about the Juneteenth.
I was going to do it under correspondence.
Oh, sorry.
You take. All right. So moving on to correspondence, Lisa and I put a few things into the Dropbox this evening. One was the Juneteenth flyer that had come to us. So Juneteenth, as Yasin mentioned, the flag will be raised on Wednesday, June 8th at Abbott Hall. There are family activities on the lawn starting at 4:30 with Greg Cole's dance and drum, and then the flag ceremony at 5 p.m. with various speakers. I think Marblehead High School and a veterans middle school student as well. The next piece of correspondence that we had in there was a letter from the Marblehead Racial Justice Team, just kind of commending Marblehead High School Team Harmony for representing the school district excellently in their presentation at the Conversations on Race on May 16th. So it's a really nice letter sent from Cindy Lowen and Lou Meyer of the Marblehead Racial Justice Team. And I think we got something on the Pride flag raising this Sunday at 3 o'clock at Abbott Hall. So lots of great things going on. That's it on that.
3 p.m. on Sunday?
3 p.m. on Sunday, yes, at Abbott Hall. Yep. And that leads us to the end of the meeting. Thank you, everyone. I will adjourn us at 8:43 p.m.